Jai Gurudev, thank you for joining us. How can Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's wisdom help the UN in its peacekeeping mission? Jai Gurudev, yes, the UN's peacekeeping efforts often struggle with deep rooted emotional and cultural divides. Gurudev's Sudarshan Kriya helps dissolve trauma and emotional blockages, creating inner peace, the first requirement for external peace. When diplomats, mediators, and aid workers practice daily meditation and breathing techniques. Their decisions are rooted in calm clarity. Programs like I Stand for Peace can be adopted globally to bring community level healing. Adding daily Sandhya Vandanam and Gayatri Japa can align leaders with divine wisdom, while Agni Karam rituals performed at peace summits can sanctify intentions and purify the collective consciousness of decision makers. What spiritual insights can improve IMF, the International Monetary Fund's economic stabilization efforts? Economic stabilization isn't just about numbers, it's about trust, calm decision making, and balanced leadership. Sudarshan Kriya detoxifies the nervous system, making financial leaders resilient under stress. When clarity replaces fear, policy choices become more ethical and effective. Art of Living's TLEX transformational leadership for excellent programs are ideal for IMF staffs. The performance of Upanayana and Gayatri Anushthan for economic thinkers refines intellect. Trikal Sandhya combined with daily Agni Kadam ensures a sattvic and pure decision making. Vedic Yagyas dedicated to Annapurna or goddess of abundance create environments for wealth and dharma. Can spiritual practices ensure loans and projects result in real prosperity? Absolutely. Prosperity without inner satisfaction is shallow. Through regular meditation and Sahat Samadhi meditation, World Bank leaders and beneficiaries can make choices that sustain communities. Long term peaceful minds build peaceful economies. Art of Living's rural development models in India prove this integration. Sadhana combined with community level pujas like Mahalakshmi Homa invokes divine abundance. When economic development begins with Agni Karam and Sankalpa or divine intent, projects flourish beyond expectation. We have seen villages uplifted simply by bringing Vedic rituals back into daily life. How can Vedic practices address trade inequality and tension, say in World Trade Organization? Trade wars stem from ego and insecurity. Sudarshan Kriya and yoga practices dismantle internal fear, allowing countries to approach negotiations with maturity. Art of Living courses for conflict resolution can be introduced in trade conferences. Rituals like Agni Homa and Surya Arghya performed by trade ministers before key agreements invoke transparency and mutual benefit. The wisdom of the Vedas, like Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, reminds us that the world is one family. Trade becomes a means of mutual service, not exploitation. For World Health Organization, how do these spiritual tools support global health missions? Sudarshan Kriya has been scientifically shown to reduce cortisol, improve immunity, and increase serotonin. By integrating Art of Living Wellness modules into WHO projects, we prevent diseases before it begins. Programs for trauma relief in war-torn areas also increase receptivity to medical treatment. Daily Trikal Sandhya, Gayatri chanting, and Padma Sadhana energize the body's subtle systems on nadis and chakras. Homas like Dhanvantari and Rudra Homa, when done globally with the correct intention, can dissolve subtle karmic obstacles to health crisis. WHO leaders can lead by example. NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. How can spiritual tools reduce global military tension and foster harmony within NATO? Defense alliances like NATO must operate from alertness without aggression. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji's breathing techniques like Sudarshan Kriya enable soldiers, generals, and diplomats to release trauma, reduce reactivity, and develop equanimity. Art of Living has helped rehabilitate war veterans with the PTSD through yoga and meditation. Integrating Sahat Samadhi and Shakti Kriya into military wellness programs builds long-term resilience and better decision making under pressure. Performing Agni Karan before key defense summits sanctifies intention, shifting focus from domination to protection. Sandhya Vandanam aligns one's consciousness with divine cosmic rhythms. Rituals like Rudra Homa and Chandi Homa can pacify planetary karmas that contribute toward cycles. This spiritual grounding strengthens the soul behind the soldier. European Union, what role can ancient wisdom play in strengthening political unity in the EU? The EU struggles with internal cultural and national ego clashes. His Holiness Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankar Ji emphasizes celebrating diversity while recognizing shared human values. Courses like the Youth Empowerment Seminar Yes Plus can unite students across Europe. Sehat Samadhi meditation fosters an intuitive understanding among policymakers, dissolving ideological rigidity. Meditation and Padma Sadhana create space for inclusion. The Vedas teach unity through diversity. Ekam Sat Vipavadruta Vadanti, Upanenam and Gayatri Japa build inner clarity and shared spiritual discipline, holding Vedic homas for the entire continent, invoking deities of harmony and dharma like Mitra and Varuna, can repair karmic fractures in EU leadership and policies. For G7 group of 7, can elite economic nations like those in G7 benefit from spiritual discipline? Absolutely. With the great financial power comes enormous responsibility. Gurudev says wealth without wisdom leads to corruption. Leaders from G7 countries should practice daily Sudarshan Kriya and mindfulness to ensure integrity, compassion, and farsightedness. The Art of Living says Know Your Child and Know Your Teen programs can address mental health crisis in developed nations, which even wealth hasn't solved. Wealth is Lakshmi and she stays where Dharma is honored, performing Sri Sukta Homas and engaging in Sanyam Sadhana of level 1 and level 2 silence and austerity before summits allows G7 leaders to connect with higher wisdom. When Vedic discipline governs personal conduct, financial policies benefit all, not just the elite. Sandhya Vandanam ensures sattvic thinking even in positions of great material power. How can spiritual wisdom guide G20's global economic coordination? G20 is a platform where East meets West, developed meets developing. Gurudev's vision of a one world family aligns perfectly with G20 nations. Spiritual practices like Sahat Samadhi meditation, Shakti Kriya, and Padma Sadhana allow economic leaders to rise above competition and serve a global dharma. The Art of Living's rural development programs can be adopted by G20 nations to bridge grassroots realities with the policy. Vedic rituals bring sankalpa or intention into material actions. Performing global Mahalakshmi Yagyas before G20 meetings can magnetize economic flow towards peace and fairness. When Gayatri Japa is synchronized across the nations and member countries, it involves and evokes unity at the vibrational level. Agni Karam performed by finance ministers before budget sessions would sanctify the collective economic karma. For OPEC, Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, can spiritual practices help resource-rich nations manage their power more ethically? Resource wealth often leads to greed, environmental neglect, and political manipulation. Gurudev emphasizes containment of santosha and responsible leadership. Meditation and Sudarshan Kriya can help OPC leaders stay grounded and avoid ego driven decisions. Art of Living's sustainability workshops could help in aligning oil economies with environmental consciousness. In Vedic terms, Bhumi on earth is a mother, not a commodity. Performing Bhudevi Homas and environmental Agnihotras before resource extraction reminds leaders of their role as stewards, not owners. Upanenam of oil ministers and daily Sandhya Vandanam can reduce internal agitation, leading to more ethical energy policy. Shakti Kriya awakens intuition, allowing leaders to foresee consequences of their choices. Bank for International Settlements BIS. How can the BIS align international monetary policy with the inner and global balance? The BIS functions as the bank of central banks where coordination and trust are vital. When policymakers engage in daily Sudarshan Kriya and Sahat Samadhi meditation, they access a deeper state of awareness where decisions are not just influenced by fear, scarcity, or control, but by intelligence and cooperation. Gurudev emphasizes that inner balance leads to sustainable outer policies. Programs like TLEX for leadership integrity can create calm, coherent, and ethical financial coordination. Trikal Sandhya and Gayatri Japa elevate consciousness to a sattvic level, aligning economic frameworks with divine intelligence. Performing a Vishnu Sahasranama Parayan and Agni Karyam for abundance and wisdom helps central decision makers rise above material obsession. Wealth is no longer hoarded but flows in alignment with the cosmic order. The Federal Reserve in USA. How can the Fed foster both financial stability and spiritual integrity? The Federal Reserve wields tremendous influence over global markets. Gurudev teaches that decisions rooted in anxiety spread global volatility through regular practice of Padma Sadhana, Shakti Kriya, and meditation. Fed officials can foster inner stillness that reflects in calm, steady policy. Introducing stress relief programs for Fed staff would ensure that inflation control and interest decisions serve not just markets but the well being of people. The United States is a global karmic node, a daily Sandhya Vandanam, and Agni Karam by top economists can purify institutional energies. Homas like Kuber Homa and Gayatri Yagya invoke both prosperity and higher ethical principles. The Vedas emphasize balance or Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, perfectly applicable to Fed's dual mandate of inflation and employment. The European Central Bank ECB, how can the ECB embody both currency strength and compassion? The ECB shapes the economics and the Eurozone's economic destiny. Gurudev often says that compassion is not a weakness, it is a strength born from inner clarity. Practices like Sahat Samadhi and Sudarshan Kriya can dissolve stress and bias, helping policymakers make decisions that serve both financial markets and the most vulnerable. Art of Living's breath, water, sound workshops for underserved communities can complement ECB's humanitarian goals. When leaders perform Trikal Sandhya and Gayatri Anushthan or Gayatri Yagyas, the intellect is refined and decisions become luminous. By initiating Mahalakshmi and Dhanvantri Homas before policy reviews, the ECB can align monetary governance with both wealth and well being. Inner sattva or purity leads to outer stability. The Bank of Japan or the BOJ, how can Japan's central bank integrate spiritual discipline into economic recovery? Japan's cultural culture already values discipline and inner stillness. Gurudev's teachings add a scientific and spiritual edge. Regular Sudarshan Kriya sessions for Bank of Japan officials can increase creative thinking, reduce stress, and balance aggressive monetary policies with long-term vision. Practices like Padma Sadhana and Yoga Nidra help access deep intuitive insights for innovation and stability. Japan has karmic links to earth elements and nature spirits. Rituals like Varuna Japa for liquidity and Prithvi Sukta Homa for sustainability and Agni Karyam for internal purification can harmonize their policies with nature. Gayatri Japa performed by BOI staff enhances collective wisdom, turning short-term recovery into spiritual prosperity. There you go, Dave.